Okay, a little bit more on this analog DMR radio by TID Radio, the 838 unit. There's several features in here that I really like. I kind of touched on some points, like the speaker. I find the audio is great on it, especially when you're scanning, noisy environment. A lot of people use their handhelds for scanning, and most of the ones I've seen, you don't really have too many options of scanning or creating groups of scanning capabilities. There are some, of course. I'm thinking mostly of the other TID radios that I have. I never really used it for scanning because it just didn't fit what I wanted. With this one, it's different. I have 8 zones. I will show that on the actually CPS program there shortly, just to match what I'm saying. And the ones I have what we call home, which is local. DRO is DMR repeater, same with RYC. Then I have the GMRS and the DMR group, and then weather. And then I've added 2 more, 70 centimeters and 2 meters. So basically, the playlist, if you want to call it, or zones, lists all the 70 centimeters. So if I want to scan only the UHF, I can do that, or 2 meters, all VHF. And there's reasons for that. Perhaps you're in an environment where VHF is a little bit too noisy, or it has activities you're not really interested in scanning, and the ones you want happen to be on UHF. So the thing is, you can create a playlist and then just click over whatever frequencies you want. It could be only 2 or 3, or it could be all the ones. And what's nice about it, that little button here on the side, I have a program. If you hit it once really quick, it will go up, and if you hold it, it will backtrack. So right now, let's see if I can have this focus. These are, let me show you different views. Okay, this is usually the default view, and there's the next one, and then there's the next one. I like this one. So it's channel 00001, because you can put 1,000 in here. And you have actually, I think 200. I believe it's 200. I forget now exactly, but it's a lot of playlists. So this is number 1, which I call home. That's one area where it'd be nice if I can replace a Z with my own letters, like an H or something. Just give me an idea what's contained in that particular zone or playlist. However, I kind of use the frequency because that's the one I put in the beginning of the list, so it tells me it's my home list. If I hit it again, 443150, again, I know this is a DRO repeater, plus I know the frequency. And then hit it again, that's another DMR repeater. I know by the frequency also. This one, oh yeah, I recognize it. It's obviously not a ham band, and it's GMR. Well, the very first listing is a merged channel. Okay. Now this one here. Okay, I have to think about that one, but it so happens to be DMR, and the only clue I had was the little D in the corner, the little blue D, and if at the bottom you see a little letter A. That's analog and digital. So I knew this was a DMR or a digital group. Hit it again. That's the weather. Obviously. Okay. Number 7, 446, that's the clue for me. It's a UHF simplex, so that tells me this is 70 centimeter list. Okay, next one, oh, another simplex, but it's VHF, so this tells me this is a 2 meter simplex. And let's say I want to scan this particular band. Yeah, must see over here. There's another little button on the side. I had the short hit is none. If I hold it for a while, which is 2 seconds, it will scan this particular group. So I hold it, scan is on. Probably it's been real quiet, so maybe we won't hear anyone. What I have noticed so far, if you set your scan to remember the last frequency it stopped on, it will show. So let's say I walk away, I come back, it's no longer saying simplex 5.2, but some other frequency. So I knew there was activity on that one. I've been trying to time how quick the scan is on this. I don't think it's exceptionally fast. It doesn't, at least that's the impression I have. And you also can set the scan as to what do you call the hang time. Right now, I think I got this set at 2 seconds. I think the default is 3. I'm experimenting. And it's scanning, and it picks up a station. And it will stay there. When that carrier drops, and if it stays dropped for 2 seconds, then it'll continue on scanning. Or someone comes back just as quick, drops it and then transmits under 2 seconds, it will stay there. You can set this up from 0, I believe, to 10 seconds. The advantage of 10 seconds, that would be great for scanning, and it's perhaps one of those check-ins going on. And there will be a delay between transmissions often. And so it'll wait 10 seconds, giving a chance for the next station to start talking before the scan continues on. You can play with the settings to find what gives you the best compromise. If you're not really interested in listening too much, just more or less know who's there and that's it. Not so much a conversation. 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that will be enough. And it will mean it'll scan through your lists much quicker. If it has to wait 10 seconds every time it hits a signal, it'll be a while before you go through it, and you're going to miss a lot of perhaps transmissions. It's kind of nice. And you can program all this, of course. One thing I have discovered, which I'm going to show on the CPS program. Let me pause here. Okay, this is the zone, or you can call it playlist. This would be all the local repeaters. This would be a DMR repeater. Allow me to connect to different groups. That's another one. This is the GMRS, and I have a little group of DMR, the weather channels, and 70. So 19 UHF repeaters and 2 meters, 23. Now let's scroll down here. I'm kind of moving the window and trying to zoom in just in the area to make it as readable as possible. And now I just went to the scan folder, if you want to call it, or this is where you set up your scan with your home. And I have it set for 2 seconds and the last active channel. So this is the part I like the best. It works. And likewise, 2 seconds. I'm experimenting with speed. I found 10 seconds for this group would have been too long. So this one is 3 seconds. So that's where you make those changes. Now, let's get back to the radio first. Okay, to set up the scan for each of the playlists, this is what you'll probably have to do initially. I believe if you read it back to the program and save it, you can then pass it on to another radio. However, I noticed that if, for example, I read it from the radio and I find, I made a little mistake in, we'll say, my 2-meter playlist, and I make a correction. And if I was to write that back, the playlist may not be correct on that particular playlist that I made the edit. You may have to reselect it. It's something I notice, might be a bug or just might be another scenario. And another thing I found too is the naming. On a scan list, if, for example, you have 7 letter call, and you put it as to be the first one on the group. Like, for example, I had simplex 146.5200, so the maximum, right? It would not show up on the first top list, but the minute I removed one letter, then it showed up. Look, again, that's, I don't know if it's a quirk or it's just a limitation of the naming. Okay. So let's get back to zone 1, which is my home. I had the scan off. Okay. And now I am in zone 1. So I want to set the scan on this. I hit menu. I select scan. I click scan list and home. If it was something else, then like say it was none or whatever, then you select home. Once that's selected, then you can go back. Okay, and then hit the button and you're going to go to zone 2 and you repeat the same thing. Okay, so let me hit this button. I try to hit it without shaking too much, and hit menu, scan list, DRO, that's correct. However, I didn't make no changes. Had I made a change in one of the fields, it may not be correct. And what's nice too is that you can use either band for scanning. So you can listen on one particular frequency and have the other band scanning. Thought I would share this. There's a few things I'm still trying to determine. I did send a few questions there to TID Radio, and apparently they're sending me something. I don't know what. Maybe some software or something. I don't know. So we'll see. And until then, I hope this little short video kind of gets you to appreciate the scanning feature on it. I'm not really a DMR person. I prefer D-Star. I find I don't know, is it more difficult? No. I find D-Star and DMR to be pretty well the same. I mean, there's a few things different, but once you know that, it's not difficult. One advantage I find with D-Star, I don't have to bother with contact lists. Getting the call sign, for example. And if the person chooses to provide the name, his name will appear, or perhaps the type of radio he's using. But at least you get his call sign. And unfortunately, without a digital contact list entered into your radio, all you get is a bunch of numbers. a handful of people only, not a problem. You just add them to your contact list, put the names, whatever information you want, and it'll show up. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference. Audio quality, is DMR audio better than D-Star, or is D-Star better than DMR? I've listened to both, and I've heard bad audio on both, and I've heard good audio on both. I think it has a lot to do with their signal strength. It also has a lot to do with the type of equipment you're using. I find people who use the hotspots, the real cheap ones, they tend to have a more Donald Duck, underwater, I don't know how to describe it, kind of sound. Both D-Star and DMR is narrowband, so you're not going to get the same quality like you do on the analog. The thing is it readable? That's the main thing. Another area I find that could give a negative impression of digital voice. A lot of people get their radio. They don't have a clue or don't even try to check the audio. You know? I find a lot of people's audio are very low. And then there's a few that are driving you too hard. So one of the first things I do is I check, I get other people, I try different settings. In the end, I find that I have to listen to myself. So I basically use another D-Star radio, and I talk to it on Simplex, and I play with the settings till I find it's ideal. I've done that with DMR. The mic level on this basically only has 3 settings. And yeah, if I go to settings 1, it's very noticeably low, and you have to talk closer to the microphone. 2 is probably good. But I find 3 gives you that little bit extra punch if you're kind of on a little bit on the weak side. So that's what I've noticed. So I can't say, no, this mode is better than the other mode, because there's other factors involved. The best way to test is to talk Simplex with another radio. Bypass the internet, bypass the local repeaters. They have their own settings. Every repeater has their own different adjustments. That is why one repeater sounds better than the other, or your audio is better on the other, or worse. So test it against another radio side by side. Maybe have your better half there listen and say, yeah, I like that one better than the other one. Something of that sort. And I think you'll be happy with both modes when it comes to audio quality. You just have to live with whatever equipment other people are using, or the lack of them setting audio levels. This is what I'm finding. Either way, most of my radios, and where I operate most of the time, there's no DMR, there's no D-Star. So I'm analog. However, I'm thinking of doing some testing for direct chat on DMR, and then switch back and forth between DMR and analog, just to see which is best for a little bit long distance call. DMR or digital, that's true with D-Star, should be a little bit better and quieter. From years ago, that's what I noticed, but things have changed since then, and I'm curious to find out. It's not a big rush. It's something I'm going to do. In the meantime, I got this to replace the H8 because I was wanting a DMR radio just to check it out. And so that's when I got one of these, and I was impressed with it, so I got 2. And canceled the H8 3rd gen. So hopefully what I'm saying here, it's the way I feel about the item. Again, I bought all the equipment. No one's giving me nothing free. And nor am I obliged to give only good reports. Okay, take care. I would appreciate it if you haven't done so. Thumbs up and subscribe, at least. And take care until next time. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.